Welcome to the Bloody Broads Pod. We're your Bloody Broads. I'm Bhavna Sharma.
And I'm Jamie Howard. We are your horror guides from page to screen and everything in between. And this week, Bhavna, what are we talking about?
Well, we're continuing our Fun in the Sun month in this hopefully not so cold March. If it's as cold as it is in January, which it currently is. And we're doing Fantasy Island, the 2020 version, not the show from the 70s. Let's see what Blumhouse has to offer.
Yeah, and not the show that recently apparently got rebooted as well, because that also popped up when I searched for this.
Same. I had no idea. I was like, what the hell? And the biggest star they could get on it was Bellamy Young.
Right. Like, no shade to everybody involved or Bellamy Young for that matter.
No. Bellamy Young
really
is
like
great.
Her. Yeah. It's just, I was doing like, I literally kept searching and I was like, no, that's not what I mean. No, that's not what I mean. Because, you know, the TV kept trying to pull up the old 70s show. And I was like, it's very nostalgic, but no. But yeah, this movie... Initial thoughts, we'll start. It wasn't horrible.
No. It was all right.
It was fine.
Yeah.
There were a lot of moments where I felt like, I was like, okay, you know, here's the twist that's going to make it, like, here's where it gets meaty. Like, here's where it's like, here's the twist. Because there were 3 moments where I was like, all right, this is it. This is the big twist. But it just kept having twists with the people that come to the island to have their fantasy indulged.
Yeah. And all of their fantasies are so different that when the twist actually does come about, you're like, what?
Some of these fantasies, I was confused. I was like, no offense to anyone who's served or, you know, who has family that's served. Like, I come from a military family. There is not a single person I know who's been in the military who's like, yeah, it's my ultimate fantasy to be a soldier and go back into war. Not a single veteran I know is like that. And that's just me and the people I know. But when he said, oh yeah, my fantasy was to be a soldier, I literally paused the movie and said, huh? I was like, why?
Well, you see, there was like a point a little earlier on. This was a point I was going to bring up later, but this is a perfect opening for it. But like, there's a point earlier on where one of the characters was just like, "Oh, are you racist? Like, you've got the racist haircut." And I was just, and that's the guy, Soldier Boy. I'm just calling him Soldier Boy. I think his name's like Patrick or something. You. But he has like that, like, he has the cop cut. Like, there's no better way to put it. It's a fucking cop cut.
It's like a modified high and tight that you get in the army.
Yeah, and it's like, but you could tell he was also that type that was raised to be super fucking polite, but like, it's that like that politeness that's supposed to act like a mask to his horribleness. Not that this character ends up being horrible, but it's like, I don't blame, was it Jimmy Yang's or Jimmy O Yang?
Yeah.
His character, he was just like, he's got a fucking racist haircut. I'm like, he does.
You do have a racist haircut. Yeah, I don't want to I say this every episode, y'all. I don't want to get too far ahead. Not that we've ever gone in any sort of order, but
chaos reigns.
Always. We worship Loki at this podcast.
We do, and to quote him, nothing is of consequence, nothing matters.
Nihilistic Loki. I just want more horror adaptations of 70s TV shows. I just love the 70s in general, like as a concept. I don't think they were like peak society or anything like that, but I would love a horror Brady Bunch.
That would be fucking amazing.
Right? Like, someone is going to tweet at us and be like, that's just called Us or whatever. Like, I'm sure somebody has a smart retort for that. But I also would love a Horrors Three's Company. Like, I feel like that's already set up perfectly for that.
Perfectly. And then I would love to see like a horror adaptation of Get Smart.
Yeah, whenever I say I like Get Smart, everyone's like, oh, and I'm like, okay, yes, the movie too, but also the show. Also, not 70s. I think it was before that. Actually, I know it was before that. But The Love Boat I just
Oh my
think a
God.
horror version
Yes.
of The Love Boat, right? Like, I mean, that's also vaguely like, what's the new movie coming out that's based on a Agatha Christie?
Oh, Death on the Nile.
Death on the Nile. I almost said Murder on the Nile, so close enough. I mean, I feel like that's pretty much it, but there are so many cute little like winks and nods to the original series in this movie. That's one thing it does really well.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, winks and nods to the original TV show. And number two, honestly, just like stunt work, like fight choreography was giving. We love that.
We love some fight choreography, and there was tons unexpectedly.
Oh, I know. The only thing is, did you like the opening scene? Did you like that they showed that first?
Yes and no. I liked that it kind of set up like being like suspicious of everything from the get,
Yeah.
like once we meet everybody. Because if had we just met everybody, no one seemed suspicious. None of them really seemed like oh, they just seemed like people that were coming on like a resort weekend to fulfill their fantasies or whatever the fuck they were fed. They didn't really seem like people that could be up to no good, or like there was nothing like really sinister about that opening. It was very like, oh my God, they've arrived on the island, like, cocktail hour, whatever.
When she said, boss, the plane, I lost it. It's just like, okay, I see you, Blumhouse.
Yeah, but also I didn't, because then it was like the tone didn't catch up until like more than halfway through the movie.
Yes. Okay. This is my beef with it. And this is why I wanted to ask your opinion. I was like, all right, am I being too harsh? Because this movie was kind of mid, So they do what every good film does, which is mice and scene, and drop us right into the action. And we see, who we come to find out is a bully of another one of the characters from childhood being chased through the jungle and then into the office of the hotel that's on the island. And she, calls the cops and is like, oh my God, help me. But they know her name. And it's literally just the guy that owns the island.
Yeah, Mr. Rourke.
And we watch her. Yeah. Which he plays creepy so well.
Michael Pena, yeah.
Yeah. What? I mean, he's in so much. I feel like he's been in like 14 things in the last 3 years.
Pretty sure it was him and Ant-Man that had that really like Edgar Wright Ian monologue.
Yeah. Oh, very Edgar Wright Ian. That's so funny.
That's like the thing that Adam McKay left in.
Oh God, yeah. A whole other podcast episode.
Yeah.
But the only person, I mean, from the get-go, I was like, oh no, this is going to be super polished, because we see this action scene and then you immediately drop into meeting the main characters. And then we don't get any more of that action for like almost 40 minutes of an almost 2 hour long movie.
Yeah, then it's all like character development and introduction and blah, 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 blah. But you only get like, not just like get surface deep with these people just to find out who they are, essentially. Their fantasies get introduced. So like you have Maggie Q, her character, then you've got her regret was apparently, not getting married and having a kid. You've got
again, whose fantasy?
Right?
This is, you're offered to live out your wildest fantasy and you're like, oh, I want to say yes at an engagement dinner. Huh? I'm over here like thinking a bazillion other things.
Well, it's like Mr. Rourke says, he goes, usually it's just sex stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I wasn't going to take it there, but yes. Not on the free version of the pod, you guys.
No. Let us know if you want Bloody Broads After Dark. Okay. I'm sure something could be arranged, but now that I've killed Jamie, I
had to get up and like take a lap and turn the fan on in my office. Okay, we're back. We're back.
Yeah. Then there's a pair of brothers, Jimmy O Yang, and I forgot the other actor's name, but like he sounds like a Paul F. Tompkins type, like his voice. Like if you just closed your eyes, he kind of sounds like Paul F. Tompkins.
He's like if Paul F. Tompkins and Dirks from
Actually, I don't know if he's the same guy from I Love You Man, but he's the urinal cake guy from I Love You Man. Anyone that's seen that, that's a very obscure reference right there.
Yes.
But he's the one
That's
that's
been a
like, my
long
face
time
is
since
on
I
like a
watched
million
it.
urinal cakes all over California. Anyway, they're stepbrothers. Hence they're the ones that actually said the racist line. But they're stepbrothers and whatever. And their fantasy was to basically just have like a giant fucking pool party that rich people have.
It just looks like the pool party in like every teen movie.
Yeah, except adults
Pretty
and
much.
10 times
Yeah.
more hotboxing.
Oh, first of all, the fact that Jimmy Yang is like, he's like, don't worry, little bro. I told him you're gay. And he's like, do you think that this is the only layer to me when it's these two hot
got
guys standing outside
layers.
of the tent?
Yeah.
And then when they pull it back and it's a hot boxing tent and he goes, two, I have two layers. I have never related to a character more than he's like, all right. And it's like these two, Greek god looking guys that are carrying him into the tent. And I was like, listen, this man knows what he wants. It's simple, but he knows what he wants.
You know what? He's what he's about. He knows it. He goes after it. He gets it. And they're two very simple requests. So that's them. And then, Soldier Boy. And then you find out that main woman, Lucy Hale's character, her thing was revenge on her bully, her childhood bully. Which
also the show.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I've just remembered what show I was trying to think of. Workaholics. It's one of my favorite shows. And my mind was like, you're going to say overworkers or slackers. And I'm like, nope, it's not what I want to say. Anyways, so Lucy Hale's character, who seeing her hop out of the plane, I was like, oh, you look very different.
Because she's blonde and also dressed up pretty differently, but it's also like it's Lucy Hale. So when she's talking about like being bullied and being built like a, whatever, well, she was a teenager, and I'm like, your body doesn't change that much from being a teenager to an adult if you're a woman. Like it's really just pretty much the same unless you put on mass or lose mass, depending on what your life is like. So it's like your body though doesn't really change that much. So when she's talking about being in high school and being bullied like that, I'm like, I don't buy like it. Like the cycle, like she plays the psychological factor pretty well in how she turns out. Like she basically is like she's the person that ends up going postal, like that kind of type, where like obviously she has a revenge fantasy. So clearly there is something not that great. I mean, like, okay, sidetrack here, because this is also one of our points.
Yes.
We're all over the map if you can see our notes, by the way. But this was one of Jamie's points. If you want to bring that up, you want to pose that question.
Oh, yeah. So would you torture your bullies if you could? And I'm going to ask like listeners too, because I was bullied, made fun of by certain kids, but never by like the whole class. And I, to be frank, like have never been like, oh, I'm going to torture them. But that's because it never got so bad. I had to wear bifocals from like third grade till about, it was like second grade through like beginning of fourth grade. And then I got contacts. So, and I only wore those bifocals for like part of that time. My mom was like, clearly she doesn't need these. But anyways, I looked like Matilda growing up, but with like fish bowl glasses, like Coke bottle.
Like Coke bottle glasses?
For about, 18 to 20 months. And then I got regular glasses because I clearly didn't need bifocals. I just had astigmatism, but they didn't know that. Anyways. And, I did theater a lot. So I would miss school to go to rehearsals or, this is going to sound so obnoxious. I was in gifted. So like, because I was the only person the only, girl in my grade in gifted, they would bus me to like the middle school once a week to do gifted until I went to a school that had all the grades, until I moved to the private school. But anyways, there was always something for a bully to pick on, right? Like I was like the first girl in my grade to really get like boobs. And
same.
Yeah. So like everyone's like, oh, you're just fat. And I'm like, I was a little chubby as a kid, as most people are, but like I look back at pictures and I'm like, I was completely normal size. But anyways, it's just, I still don't want to like torture them, but I know
No.
people who've had horror stories where if they wanted to like, maybe not saw torture their, their
Yeah, and
people,
maybe don't get
if they
Dr.
were just
Torture
like,
involved because that's what that character's name is
oh
Dr.
God,
Torture.
I know I watched this with subtitles on because I have to, like,
Same.
just ADHD. And as soon as his name popped up on screen, I was like, wow, we're getting deep with the writing, y'all. But yeah, like even people I know who've had horrible experiences are not like, let me concoct a whole fantasy where I tie her to a chair and scare her. But anyways, yeah. I
Not
don't
like
know.
ruin their
Thoughts?
whole lives or anything. Like
Yeah.
with me, like I was pretty, I'd say moderately to severely bullied when I was in elementary school. And like I'm looking like I was called fat. I wasn't called cool. I was like that gullible kid too. Like people pleasing, what's up? And like to the point where I'm laughing now because I'm like, I'm such a dumbass, but I am not mean to my young self, but like I fell for the cool kids trying to give me cool lessons when I was like in grade 3.
Oh,
Those aren't a thing. Those aren't a thing. And like, but like, I looking back on it, like they were calling me fat. I'm looking at pictures and I wasn't. And then it didn't click until I was an adult. I'm like, I'm 5'7". And so I grew tall fast. And I didn't just grow
fast.
tall fast, I grew wide fast, but I was never obese or anything like that. But it was one of those things where it's like if you're told you're fat so many times, you just keep going. And then and then I eventually I did get fat, but not in like a oh no, I'm fat kind of thing. Just like there's no other word really for it. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I did. And I'm for the listeners, I'm okay. I'm all right with my body. I am at peace with everything. Don't worry about it. But
We're a body positive podcast, first
we
of all.
are. But
It's
just like
just gonna
Jamie,
be funny when people see us together because like, so I'm a
because I'm so
full
tall.
5.5 and yeah, I'm a smooth 5 inches shorter than Boston. Okay, sorry, continue.
Yeah. Oh, that's all right. And I'm by no means an Amazon either. So it's like, what am I? But
Being exposed.
yes. Oh God. We're just voices. We're just voices. We're not people. But years later, like years and years and years later, one of the main like bullies, I guess, like the architect of my torture, she actually messaged me on like Facebook and like wrote this huge ass apology, which I was not ready to hear. And I don't know if I still am, real talk. Mostly because it took a lot of work for me to kind of move past it, like to kind of accept myself. I did all of that work on my own. And it was just more so like, I've already compartmentalized you. I'm not here to forgive you. Like, it's not going to serve me in any way. And that's what I'm about right now in this situation. And good for you that you realized it. I'm going to stop your journey right there. Like, I don't wish her any ill.
That.
I don't wish her any ill. I don't want any revenge upon her, but I'm not going to make her life easier. So,
yeah. And I think too, like the reason this movie came off again, more like middling for me is that they really could have done something with the bully storyline.
they really could have, except they kept ping-ponging it to the point where I was confused.
I was incredibly confused at the end. I don't for real want to jump to the end yet, but here's where I got confused too. Well, there were so many, like I said, when we did get the plot twists, there were like 3 back to back to back to back because there's 3 groups of, people who
Yeah, you had like whiplash.
And there's a lot of quippy one-liners in this movie. It's really good at quippy one-liners.
And they're all
and
Jimmys.
That's why I came across. They're all Jimmys, all of them. Or Lucy Hale's character when she does meet Patrick, the cop that wants to be a soldier. And
yeah,
he's like, what is he? I can't remember what he says. He says like something about like when does his fantasy begin? Because, Maggie Q's character got hers like
immediately.
Quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, I can search and rescue or whatever she says. I don't even remember the exact like line she uses on him. And this is a good looking guy, but like I definitely didn't have that like, let me be overtly hitting on him. And then of course, like And with Rourke, like we never knew if he was a villain or not because they make him out to be a villain with a redemption arc. But again, this is like an hour and this is 100-minute long movie. Like,
Yeah.
huh? There's not enough time to like develop these characters to this point, especially with the action sequences they put in. Yeah, Rourke gives them this speech when they first, all get into the grand opening of the hotel.
Yes.
And he says, all that I ask is that you follow your fantasy out to its logical conclusion. First of all, that's a boundaries discussion. Second of all, that would not fly in any community I know of that does boundaries. Like, and I was just like, so there's no safe word? Like, there's no, what are we doing here? So that was obviously red flag number one.
Yeah.
But it felt like the entire first 40 minutes of this movie, again, was just one big red herring.
It was. And I'm like, there was no room for any safe words in that speech either. It was just like, well, you just have to like conclude it to the end. And like, it's one of those speeches where I'm like, okay, so how is every single one of these people going to fuck this up? Because if there's only one rule, everyone's going to fuck up that one rule.
Right. It very much felt like the horror trope of teenagers in a cabin in the woods, but instead of cabin in the woods, we got, resort on an island. I don't know. I think the most, like, for instance, so we go straight from like that, and then Maggie Q pretty much gets her fantasy right away, which good for her. Again, I don't understand it. If I had one fantasy, it would definitely be more like, and maybe this is because I'm so work oriented, but like I was like, oh, I'd be winning my SAG award or whatever. Like, or if it was like a fantasy, I would be like riding a unicorn or something, like something truly fantastical. I don't know.
Like something I know I can't achieve on my own ever, or like there was no chance of me achieving it ever. Like, because if she really wanted to, she could probably reach out to this dude again or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
Also,
and
side note, she's still stunning.
Oh, she looks amazing. But they show her the first, first of all, she's just beautiful in general. But the first scene of her, she is in the smallest bikini top I have ever seen. It is.
Yeah, that was tiny.
It's like 4 square inches of fabric over each nip. And I was like, oh, wow. Like, I know she doesn't have huge boobs, but
she had more fabric on her boy shorts than she did her chest.
Oh my God. Way more fabric on her butt than she did her chest. Which is fine. Like,
yeah, it worked.
Yeah. I was just like, whoa, as soon as she came on screen, because I had not seen this movie until you wanted to cover it. And I was like, oh, this will be fun. And again, like you said, it was whiplash. Like 1 minute, this movie was this like fun, colorful. I thought it was going to be campy horror. And here was my, we'll get into this when we do closing thoughts, but like, I just don't feel like it ever got there, but it never got there on the serious side of things either.
No, hence the middle of the road. It was fine, but she gets her fantasy right away, which we said was, she really wanted a child. Who does she want the child with? Because Mr. Rourke makes a point of saying like, yours is very abstract. You said you regret in your old friends, you have a regret. This is important, comes into play later, which ends up making everything, all the twists go whiplash. But because the fine line, y'all, you got to read the fine print. So, this is where you get to see how the fantasies quote unquote work. And, there's like a door, it opens up and it's like a restaurant. And she's like, oh, Maestros or whatever the hell it was called. Like, you recreated it down to every detail. So like, this was very much like an establishing like, oh, this is how like the fantasies kind of work type thing. So everybody else was just kind of thrown in without explanation. With her, we get a bit of an explanation. And that's when she like meets up with the fiance dude, or the not fiance dude, I guess. And like all you get in that scene essentially is once she like falls into it and goes like whatever, falls into her fantasy, they just get engaged. And she seems to roll with it until the next day where she has a child magically who is 5 years old. And that child is creepy as fuck. Great child acting there.
Oh, 100%. But how anticlimactic, right? Like,
yeah.
Like, we watched them get engaged. And my first thought was like, so now what? Because when he's talking to her, and he doesn't know that 5 years have passed. And so that's like our first hint that something's not kosher, that like, I'm like, okay, what's going on? And then her daughter being already 5 years old, it would
Then she has like 5 years of memory she doesn't have.
yeah, like it would screw me up mentally to turn on my phone, because she wakes up and her phone has a background picture of like her and the fiance at their wedding or whatever. And then in the photo gallery, Rourke is like, oh, why don't you take a look? And she's swiping through her phone and there's pictures of her raising this child. And I was like, but you miss out on all the raising part of the child that other people who want children look forward to. I don't know. It was
like, and you can tell that was
this
what
was
she was looking forward to as well.
the most. Yes. And I don't understand, because she just is so distraught over the fact that she finally has everything she wants. So while all of this is going on, we're seeing basically Lucy Hale's character, whose name we've just completely blanked out.
Melody or Melanie. I know that Meredith wasn't her name because she gets called Meredith. She's like, not that.
Yeah, I think it's
Melanie. Yeah.
Because the bully keeps calling her the wrong name.
You know what? This adds to the effect. We're not going to look it up.
We're not going to look it up. We're just going to keep rolling, you guys.
Yes.
So Maggie Q gets her fantasy. Then we see Jimmy Yang's character and his brother getting their fantasy of them like partying in this insane mansion. And it's, a lighthearted moment. Like it's quippy because we just had this big emotional dramatic scene. And then we realize that Lucy Hale's character is going to torture this bully. And here's where I really was like, she has no damn clue, because she says, oh, she looks better than Tupac, because she thinks she's a hologram.
Yeah.
I was like, ma'am, I'm sorry, but what hologram looks that good? Because this woman was strapped to a chair, drenched, in sweat and water, makeup running down her face. And that's when we kind of get to the whole, like, oh, I'm going to press this button and it's going to dump water on her, because her character had gotten toilet water dumped on her in 8th grade. And then this is where I really wanted to talk about if you would do this to your bully, because releasing a sex tape when it's not with her husband, and it like the button automatically uploads it to her Facebook, which I thought it was interesting that this was made in 2019 and came out last year. And it's
like 2020 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And they picked Facebook. I'm wondering if they couldn't get the rights to Instagram, although they're owned by the same people now, but.
No, but at the time, I don't think they were. I think that was like right before Facebook bought Instagram. Or maybe they're just going for like, I guess what married people, I guess people in her like community would look at.
Yeah. I guess like most people who are familiar within the audience too. I don't know. I always get nitpicky with social media in movies and TV shows because it is my day job. So it's like
oh, my favorite for that is like SVU, because for the longest time they couldn't get the rights for anything. So it's like Face Place and or like what is it? I forgot what their Uber was called, but it was called something else.
I can't remember.
And then they'll do things like what was it? There was one that freaking cracked me up. Well, Faceplace cracked me up, but they had one for Foursquare for like, they used it for like 2 episodes.
Oh God. I need to go back and rewatch some of those. I had to take a break from SVU because it was getting a little too real, too with the times in the last 2 seasons. And I was like, I don't really need my TV shows to reflect that.
It's okay. I just stare at Carisi the whole time. It makes me feel better.
Same. I think it's time for us to take a commercial break.
Yeah. We'll tune back in for our free thoughts.
So I definitely still want to get into like the nitty-gritty of some of the characters and stuff and the twists. But overall, and I feel like we just keep coming back to this, I wanted this movie to be better. I just wanted it to be more detailed. Because
same,
I didn't know who was real, who was part of the simulation, who was actually on the island or whatever, because when they have her, bully locked up in the gas chamber looking thing, Dr. Torture comes out and he almost, my voice is going to go out. He almost cuts off her finger because Melanie or Mallory or whoever tells him to. And she's so smart that he has like this power Dremel out, which I cringed so hard because I thought we were about to watch this young woman's fingers get cut off. He grabs her right hand, which is smart that she tells him to do that. And then Melanie dumps the water on him so it electrocutes him. But how did it not also electrocute the bully? Like
because it attached to his hand, just his hand.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, okay. See, I'm not a scientist, but
Yeah. So the current was only going through him. So the water then hitting the current only affected him, not her.
Oh, y'all, I learn something new every day.
Honestly, this movie kind of had ADHD itself, so I don't blame you for missing that detail.
Right? So after the bully stuff, when we get to Patrick and we realize that he has been captured by this military group because he wanted to play soldier so badly. And when we find out, I knew as soon as they showed that group that it was his dad. I was just like, they look alike. They're wearing old fatigues from the 70s / like 80s, which apparently I guess he's supposed to be like later or mid 30s because his dad talks about going to Venezuela, which would have been, I guess, like earlier 90s. It would be a little bit after the Gulf War, I guess. But anyways, Patrick's like, you can't go to Venezuela tomorrow because that's where you die. And there's all these like heartwarming, conversations they have in between them where he realizes this is his son. He's like, why do you have my name on your dog tags? Why do you have this picture of me and my son in your wallet? Blah, blah, blah. I didn't like that storyline at all. To me, it felt very puritanical bootstraps mentality, morality tale. Like it means more if you do it yourself kind of thing,
I also felt it was a little bit outdated.
Yeah.
In terms of like a movie plot device. Like if this was a movie that came out in the 90s, like I'd say mid to late 90s, early aughts, I could see it being a thing because, given that like this character's age and all that kind of stuff, like the wars that his dad would have been involved in, you really wouldn't have hero worshipped your dad that much. Like, I don't want to speak for anybody whose parents have served or anything like that, but it's almost like we're way too educated about the world. Like we've been, with the onslaught of social media and like 24-hour news networks and all these things that didn't really exist back, like way, way, way back. Like there's not as much hero worship unless you're a certain kind of person with a certain kind of haircut.
Racist haircut.
Racist haircut. I mean, and this is not me slandering at all on the military. I am not, people that want to serve, whatever, that's great. Like, I'm not trying to stereotype anybody at all, but I'm thinking like you wouldn't hero worship that hard without having some kind of a critical eye or something else wrong with you.
His whole storyline really threw me for a loop until we find out at the end how they're all connected. Here's my whole thing. I loved the fantasy rock. That's what I called it. But the big glowy rock they discover in the cave once they all escape their fantasies. It was like a really messed up version of the Mirror of Erised from Harry Potter. I know I say that wrong, but
Erised,
there we go.
It's the Mirror of Desire reversed. She's not that smart.
No, yeah. It was so poorly executed and rushed in that cave scene because they could have done so much more with this. Like, again, the really name of the island is Fantasy Island. Like, I feel like that commercial where he's like, oh, I got my fantasy nights mixed up. And everybody else at the party is wearing football jerseys. And the guy that comes to the door is dressed as a centaur. I mean, that's what I felt like. I was like, I got my fantasy islands mixed up.
No, but honestly too, like when you, like, I forgot what their specific fantasies were, but I just remember them being so fucking basic. Y'all just need therapy if those are your fantasies. You guys just need therapy.
Hello.
That's it.
I was like, you guys don't want to walk in space without the consequences of going to space.
You don't
Like,
want to attend like a Led Zeppelin concert in the 70s?
I mean, me personally, I would go see Stevie Nicks and Prince
Oh,
and
yeah.
everybody at their prime. I mean, Miss Stevie is still with us, thank God.
Yeah,
But
you don't want to go party at Mama Cass's? Like,
no, right? Like, or like be there the first time they discovered. I don't know. I would love to be there the first time that these people saw a hot air balloon. Like,
yes.
all those TikToks that are like, this is what I would show a Victorian child when I got into the time machine. And it's like clips from crazy pop culture moments. That's what I would do with my fantasy, but y'all do you. I don't get it because
Yeah.
I know they were trying to make this movie like relatable. And I was like, but it's a horror movie. It doesn't have to be relatable.
No, but I'm also like, I think the fantasy that disappointed me the most was probably the party fantasy, the two brothers.
Yeah,
to be honest.
right.
That was the one that, like, not that it wasn't relatable, because I mean, who doesn't want to go to at least one kick-ass party in their life, unless you're someone that doesn't like to party? But I mean, like, who doesn't want something like of that ilk? Not necessarily that genre, but like that kind of a thing. But like, you know, living in a rich person's house, like putting yourself into like a wealthy person's shoes, essentially, whatever your genre of that is. But lame, all of these are like lame. They're all pigeonholed. They're all like people that are probably obsessed about one thought, which you find out later one person definitely is.
It's true. Yeah.
Right, like you let the one thought kind of consume you. And there's like a line that, like, so there's this person in the woods that's trying to get them out. This was the part I think you were trying to say, like it was getting kind of confusing as to who was real, who's a simulation. And
Yes.
I forget his name, even though he's a constant like James Gunn collaborator. He plays Yondu in Guardians of the Galaxy. He was in The Walking Dead. Merle in The Walking Dead, but I can't remember his name.
But I don't know his name in this movie.
I think his last name actually is Rourke. But we're really bad today, guys. Leave us alone, all right? You guys have Wikipedia, look it up. But
Google is free.
Google is free. But like, you know, he even comes in and he's just like, you know, you really chose this fantasy. Like you're letting, like your fantasy was to get revenge on your bully. Like you need to let some shit go. You need to get some therapy. Like the gist of what he was saying to her. And I'm like, that's it. Like, come on. You don't even want to bring a dead person back? Like, what do you want?
Okay, because all I could think of was the cave scene in Aladdin, the 1990s Aladdin, when he's like listing off the rules. And he's like, rule number 1, I can't make anybody fall in love. And rule number 2, and he's like, whatever he said, there only 3 wishes. And then when he says, you know, rule number 3, I can't bring anybody back from the dead. And he's zombie. Yeah. God, yeah. That explains the fact that scene in particular was my favorite growing up and kind of still is. Like, says so much about me. That's what that moment. Yes, Bob, I just pulled out a Jasmine doll.
I have a prop for every episode, guys. If you haven't noticed by now, that can be on your Bloody Broads bingo. Yeah,
this is literally like an episode of Whose Line. You just like pulled that out of the ether. You were like,
Jamie Inkwich. Jamie actually gifted me this.
Oh, well, it's perfect. I do love Jasmine.
Sorry, guys, that was a quirk.
It's fine. The chaos that happens in the cave once they all get back in the cave. Here's where I was confused because in the brothers' fantasy, their house winds up being owned by an old drug kingpin. And so it gets attacked. And Rourke tells them like, oh, it used to be owned by Mr. So-and-so, who was a drug kingpin. And now his men want their money and their dope back. First of all, what? Why is this part of your fantasy? Why is it part of my fantasy if my fantasy was to have it all? That's what they say, is that we wanted to have it all for the weekend or whatever. Huh? Like, this is why I was saying it felt like a morality tale, because he's
because then it's like
having it all. Yeah, he's like, sometimes having it all costs it all, or whatever he says. And I'm
or like you think it was going to come to you without a cost type thing.
Yeah. And I'm like, what kind of monkey's paw bullshit nonsense? Like, it felt like the Stephen King story with the brass monkey.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Or like that other one with the devil technically in it. I think that was a short story he did with Joe, but where they, you know, he gives like the cancer to somebody else type thing.
Yeah.
It's like, and you
Because I
got to
mean,
live with the consequences. Yeah.
that's what this whole movie felt like. And so again, we get this really cool sci-fi twist in the cave where like they're meeting their shadow selves, I
Yeah. And
guess.
I'm like, is this like the nega round?
Right. I was like, what is going on? So then we see why Maggie Q's character said no to the original marriage proposal, which is her upstairs neighbor burned up in a fire and she couldn't save
Yeah.
him and she's felt guilty for her whole life, which I understand. That would probably screw me up too for the rest of my life. I get that.
Yeah.
But then we see her asking a police officer for help. The police officer turns out to be Patrick. That's why he said he wished he could save somebody's life.
Which
She
only
runs
makes me
back
dislike him
upstairs.
even more than just for his soldier boy
Right?
fantasy, because I'm just like, it's not even the ACAB part of it. It's more like the you fucking dink. You could have saved someone's life.
Yes. And I'm just like, yeah, now I hate him even more. Thanks, I guess.
Yeah.
And, then we find out that Nick, the guy that burned up in the apartment, was roommates with the two brothers. And then we find out that he was supposed to be out on a date that night with Melanie, with Lucy Hale's character. And that's how they're all interconnected. And that's why they're all on this island together.
Because twist, it's not individual fantasies, it's just Lucy Hale's fantasy.
Yeah. Because okay, this is what I wanted you to explain because I felt
Okay.
I was like,
All right.
what? What is happening in this cave right now?
Okay. So she kind of got a twofer because she
Right.
wanted everyone responsible for Nick's death to be brought to account. So obviously Maggie Q, because she lived downstairs and she caused the fire. So
Right.
one. And then two, the two brothers were roommates with him, and like Jimmy Yang's character thought he was out because he was supposed to be on a date, which turns out it's with Lucy Hale's character. So
Right.
he didn't go because brother, not Mr. Peanut Butter brother, wanted to like check in on him.
Not
And
Mr. Peanut Butter.
Jade, I told you he sounds like
looks
Paul F. Tompkins.
He does. And he
But
kind
he
of
doesn't
looks like a
look like
golden
him.
retriever.
Kind of
Oh,
does.
God,
He
that
does
was
look
good.
like
Yeah.
BoJack Horseman.
Watch BoJack Horseman, you guys.
Please do. Please do, but prepare to cry and feel like shit.
Oh yeah, don't listen, take it from experience. Watch it very, very, very clean and sober.
And watch it very slowly. Like, don't let Netflix
Yeah.
ask you if you're still watching.
3
Cut that
episodes
off before.
max.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Anyway, but like he wanted to check in on Nick, but then it was Jimmy Yang's character that said like, no, he's on a date with somebody. Forget about it. Let's get out of here. The building's on fire. And then Patrick was the cop who said no. Like Maggie Q's character went out and said like, hey, there's still someone in there. We got to help him, blah, blah, blah. He didn't go up and help. He just kind of was like, let's wait for the fire department, blah, blah, blah. Which, I mean, his character was kind of alluding to it the entire time because every time he talks about his father's sacrifice, he's like, you did something I could never do. We're like, we know.
Yeah.
Um,
We've heard it the whole movie, buddy.
The only thing is her justification for Sloane, who's played, that's the lady, the bully.
Sloane,
she's played by,
that's who it is. Yeah.
Yeah, she's played by Portia Doubleday, who was amazing in Mr. Robot. Also a great show, and also a show you should watch slowly. Yeah, she was Angela. Yeah. You the flimsy part there was like, okay, fine, the hatred that she like has for Sloane, like the reason why she felt worthless all of her life and she felt like the only person she can connect with was Nick, like that made her feel comfortable in her own skin type thing. Like the only reason she felt like that was because Sloane made her feel that way. So in a really convoluted way, she wouldn't have needed Nick. Like I feel like this was the read between the lines type justification, but like because she doesn't explicitly say it, but she goes, it's your fault. She goes to her like that. I felt that way. So,
well, and I understood everyone else's except for the two brothers. So that's why I was like,
yeah, the two brothers.
And like,
yeah, Jimmy actually said it. Like his character actually, his name's Brax. I think the character's name. He was like,
yes, that's what it is.
Yes, he was like, oh, JD wanted to check on him, but he was supposed to be on a date. So I said, never mind, let's get out of here.
Oh, I missed that completely. I probably didn't I can literally watch a movie and have subtitles on, and I promise you I would have still missed that.
Because later she also goes like later in that like monologue, she also goes like, I waited 1 hour, I waited 2 hours, blah blah blah. So you knew he was running late.
Yeah.
But who knows? My little pet theory is like maybe he was planning on standing her up.
Yeah, because he was still home, like when he was supposed to already be at the restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he was planning on standing her up too. But throughout the whole movie, we've seen this like kind of gross, ghosty looking thing that like appears and disappears. And when it's revealed that it's actually Nick all burned up, you know, the neighbor all burned up, I was like, oh, okay. And then yeah, it was just a lot all at once. And then they revealed that like how it worked with Rourke's wife being able to be there because she did the movie thing of coughing into a napkin and pulling away and it being blood, which huge eye roll. Again, if you're going to be campy, buy into it. If you're going to be serious and do that emotional strength kind of stuff, do it. We can't always do both. We are not Scream. Like that's, yeah.
I only laugh, and we're taking a little film detour here. I only laugh because, like, in Western movies, and by Western, I don't mean like pew pew pew. I mean like English movies, English language movies made not in Asia. You know, coughing blood into a napkin is usually like a sign of cancer and has been for years. However, if you watch older Indian movies, like even up until the 90s, somebody coughing blood into a napkin means TB.
Oh, I thought that's what they were insinuating was like some kind of respiratory thing.
They did, but like he said cancer later, but it like automatically like my head went TB because of all of my film references are like the dramatic like lady coughing into like a we call it a rumal, but like a handkerchief, you know, going like and if there's blood and like you find out later it's TB because, you know, culturally TB was still a rampant thing in like the 70s and 80s over there. So it's like, sorry, that was my little side, like, you know. You find out. I mean, he says like she got sick, or in the assumption is like lung cancer or something.
Yeah, I mean that's where I was confused too because I was like, oh, she's hacking up blood. Like, you know, I have a close family member with terminal cancer, and so I was like, I don't think she has. Like, I was like, this is not lining up.
It's the really lazy film thing.
Yeah, there were so many parts of this movie where I felt like it could have been better, but again, it's not awful. Like, would I put this on in like a room full of people if like we were like, oh, let's put on something that we can kind of, you know, eat popcorn and talk through? Yes. Would I put it on if I was like, I'm going to show you a horror film that's going to be a wild ass time and it's going to be fun? No. Again, we find all this out in a span of like 5 minutes, if that, after we've spent the first hour and 30 like going through these fantasies with these characters and hoping they survive. And then we get the big reveal of how they're all connected and like that the ghost was Nick, which was also sloppy. We never explained the black blood stuff that kept coming out of people as they got killed in the fantasies. Like,
I don't think that got explained, but I just assumed it was because they were the simulation or like they weren't, just to differentiate them, that they weren't real. Like, as I think, because you also see like the water or that dark water, dirty water, whatever, that like tar kind of dripping when Maggie Q enters the restaurant. So, and you also see it when Lucy Hale's going down the elevator.
Because she says, you know, all that Maggie Q's character is like, what's that?
And I think that's the sludge or like the spring water or whatever from the cave. Like, I think that's part of what makes the fantasies a thing. I've only seen this movie twice. I'm by no means an expert. I've just saw it once when it came out because this movie was stacked. Like the talent in this movie is stacked. Yeah. And I was just like, oh, Blumhouse. Cause you know, I was still all Blumhouse. And
there's still some good things. There
are,
more discerning. Yeah.
Hey, if I see Blumhouse come up in like, you know, at the start of a movie and I didn't know it was previously produced by them, I'm like, all right, I am in for a decent ride.
I know. All I can think of is how we said in our episode with Sheree that now that Tyler Perry and Jason Blum are teaming up, there's going to be like Medea hidden somewhere in the opening credits. It's fine. But then we get Rourke saying the fantasy must reach its natural conclusion again, which he said it 3 different times at this point. A, that's such a weird phrase. Like, what? And B, it's been so this is like one of my guilty pleasure movies, but it felt like he was saying, I'm Devin Bowman from The Master of Disguise with Dana Carvey. Which has
Hey, you're turtly enough to
very-
be in the Turtle Club, by the way.
all I've ever wanted. Thank you so much, Bob.
You're welcome.
It definitely has its, problems as a comedy film, but it's a fun little trip down childhood memory lane. But that's all I could think of because he's in this white suit and he like turns and he's like, the fantasy must reach its final conclusion. And I was like, why is this so telenovela? Like, what are we doing?
For the
because-
bingo, I'm not grabbing it, but I do have a Wayne's World Wayne and Garth Funko I'm not going to grab
Of course you do.
for the bingo.
Oh my God.
Like, ooh, like, you were expecting like, I don't know, dramatic, like lightning and thunder and
Thunder. Yeah. It felt like Indiana Jones for a second. I was like, what is going on? Because they're in a cave and there's a big rock and whatever.
Yeah.
And then we get the ending of the movie, which is trash. It's awful. We get these really cheesy photos of everyone with their dead loved ones. And I was like, what in the Shining Ballroom photo is this nonsense? I thought it was I'm genuinely confused as to why he's like, we all blew up in this cave, but we're all somehow still alive. Another moment, I even wrote it in our notes. I was like, what is going on? I needed like a translator. I was like, what? I feel stupid. I feel like I missed something.
Well, okay, so JD died before all of that stuff. Okay, so this is what happened. So JD died. That's Mr. Peanut Butter. He died because he died along the way, so he's dead.
Yeah.
That would leave Lucy Hale, Sloane, Maggie Q, and Jimmy Yang. That leaves them.
Yeah.
And so one point, because the whole thing is that like there was a grenade that they had for reasons. It was like they kept focusing on this grenade, right? You don't need to know why. It's just they had a grenade.
It was
and
in
there was a reason.
Room. Yeah.
Yes, it was in the panic room, but there's a reason. Like they manufactured this like grenade into something important. So they have it there.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a Deus Ex Machina. And so they have
great movie.
Great.
Chaos.
Anyway, so you have all of them there left, right? And
yeah,
so you get Julia, which is the wife, kind of begging Warwick to help because she's like, the guests are gonna die, blah blah blah, like help them out, whatever. So like,
which is gonna make her die, right?
Yeah, which is gonna make her die because the whole thing was that she was gonna be there forever with him. Like she just recycles, like she gets sick, like she lives out her life and then comes back because he's staying on the island.
Kick a man's ass if he brought me back from the dead just to make me keep getting cancer.
Yeah, like she doesn't remember, but like he does. So even Maggie Q's character is like, this is not love, this is hell. Let her go.
Yeah, literal hell.
So I forget what he does, but then they're reminded that everybody on the island gets a fantasy. Like that's the other rule was like everybody gets one. And so since Sloane is a real person and not a simulation, she didn't get a fantasy. So she goes like, if you drink the water, you'll get a fantasy. So Lucy Hale's character, she was like, what? So she could be with her husband forever? And she's just like, I bet you thought. And like takes a shot of the thing. And then they're supposed to blow up the rock. So they throw the grenade, but Patrick stays behind.
That's right.
Soldier Boy. And then so he kind of falls in his grenade and does the thing that we all knew he was going to do because he brought up so many times that he couldn't do it. You know, he gets to be just like his daddy, die on an unknown island somewhere. And blows and like so it all explodes. So they live because then that fantasy was brought to its natural conclusion, but they were still alive.
Right.
Because Sloane kind of protected them in her fantasy.
Yeah. Well, because the only thing that really confused me about all that was the way that Lucy Hale's character like jumped into the pool of water. Because it turns out she's the villain.
Yeah.
And that like, you know, it's my
this was all her revenge fantasy. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, when I say I'm confused, I was mostly confused about like the last like 15 seconds of that scene and also like the characters' motivations in general. It was just, you know, people were complaining about the new the new Scream having characters that we don't get to be like fond of because we don't spend enough time getting to know them. I couldn't disagree more, but whatever.
Yeah, that was my problem with Scream 4, to be honest.
Yeah.
I liked Scream
I mean,
4. I did, but I just wish we had more time with half of these characters.
Yeah. It was frustrating because I was like, I wanted to like this movie. I really did. I was like, it's a remake of a 70s show, and it's got these like really funny, quippy one-liners, and also this idea of like mysticism and mythology, which I love. And then it was just, I don't know. It was like trying to make a soup out of too many different ingredients that didn't go together, I guess.
No soup for you. To
Yeah.
bring back your point about like what in the Shining ballroom photo is this, I genuinely expected for like, because when they all snap back, like he has like a photo of them when they came onto the island, and he like puts it up as like, you know, it's almost like control group number 73 or something, like, and put that back up. Yeah. And he puts that up there and stuff, and I half expected Moonlight, The Stars and You to start playing.
I mean, I love that we did old and then this back to back because there's obvious reasons, right? Like they're both
this
on
was
an
our
island. Like they both involve, you know, basically a gambit a little bit on the people's part. Yeah. Even though the people in old were not willingly, you know, doing that.
There was some non-con going on there.
Oh, Jesus. They both involve a magic potion of sorts. Like, I mean, definitely they both have overlaps, and they both honestly kind of confuse the shit out of me at parts. So it's fine.
Honestly, and here's another thing both episodes could have used. Both episodes could have used Olivia Benson and crew being called in because there was some non-consensual shit going on. Dun dun.
100%, especially heinous. Like I was just continually like, what is going on? Why is no one asking for like releases that you have to sign if you go stay at a resort, like that kind of stuff? I mean, it was crazy.
Well, it was the same kind of dupe. They kind of won. The other people were targeted, so they got like either a cheap stay or they won it. This one, they all won it. Like they all won some kind of a sweepstake or something, and they were brought in. I mean, that's why, like, there's at one point Lucy Hale's character's like, "I hope you paid full price" or something.
Yeah. I hope you paid, because she's like, oh, this is the oldest marketing trick in the book. All that they ask for in return is for us to leave positive reviews, blah, blah, blah. Again, I thought we were going to find out she was some kind of influencer that secretly her fantasy was to be anonymous or something. To me, that would have been more interesting. I mean, closing thoughts. Like, I'm kind of like, I feel like we've already said this 4 or 5 different times, but I mean, yeah,
I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I felt like this level of film was 90s. If you really want to, like, if this movie was going to be a quote unquote good movie, or like a quote unquote, like, not groundbreaking, but like have a little bit more of a positive or shocking reaction, it could have been released in the 90s. And then it would be like, oh my God, look at this movie. Nothing like it, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, there's still not anything really like it right now, but I felt like it just didn't pick a lane, and it tried to go through the middle too much. Like it drove like right in the center line instead of staying in a lane. Because if it had gone full camp, all about it. If they had gone like full serious business, all about it. But they like went in this middle ground where there were some moments where I was genuinely like, scared, or not scared, but like, okay, this is like some kind of body horror. And then like, but there were also genuine moments where I was cackling, but most of it I was spent going like, okay, I get your motivations here, but all right. Okay, cool. Like, I'm scrolling my phone. I was playing Candy Crush.
Oh my God, same. I made myself like stop after the first couple minutes because I was like, you've never seen this. Put the phone down. But yeah. And just
so essentially TLDR, TLDW. It was okay. It was all right. It's a good movie to have on if you're like Jamie said, like if you're okay with talking over a film, or you just want to chill and hang out and have something on in the background, like you're cleaning, you're doing other things, like you just want something on with like to have voices on, then occasionally clue in. You're fine. Like this is fine. Think of it like the Yule log channel at Christmas, but for horror fans or something.
Well, Shutter has the Ghoul log, which is
Oh, there
like
you go.
yeah, it's like a jack-o'-lantern that they have. I may or may not put it on year round sometimes. Yeah, I just like you said, this movie was stacked with talent, and then it just
Yeah.
came out so flat in parts. And I don't know if it was because like maybe the script went through changes. I didn't really do my research on that, on the production aspect of it. But
Mhm.
there was just so many storylines. I joked about Old being lost, you know, the sci-fi episode or something, but like this was 100% like if Lost did a horror episode. And I also was never at any point scared.
The Halloween
which again
episode
is not
of Lost.
right. Like, and again, being frightened or scared is not necessarily the measure of a horror film, but I want to feel like
Mhm.
I always feel some sense of dread in a horror film, whether that's, oh my God, I know what's going to happen, or oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen. There was no moment where I didn't kind of sort of predict what was going on.
For me, it was
I don't
more the
know.
body horror aspect of the torture scenes. That was about
Yeah.
it. That really got me going. "Eh," like, and it was more so because I'm
Well,
like, that hurts, or like that sucks.
and we only got two of those scenes. Like they were
Yeah.
pretty short and nothing
Yeah.
actually came off of her. Like
No, and then there was like the scene where fun fact, Kim Coates played the Russian, like, I don't know, mercenary dude that wanted the dope and money back, by the way. If you didn't recognize him, that's Kim Coates.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, his accent was so ridiculous, but that was Kim Coates. So he threatens to cut off Mr. Peanut Butter. Sorry, now you're gonna imagine a dog, but JD's hand, and like you don't even see anything. Like I was like, where's the horror aspect in this? Like, and then like he stops, and I'm like, because it's all off camera type thing. Like it's all like they're focusing on the torso and
Yeah.
up, but he's he's got the machete or whatever on the arm, and like you don't really notice anything. And I'm just like, okay, but this took me out because I'm like, it's not like it's on NBC or some shit where like you have to, or like
No.
ABC where you have to like, remove the like not focus on it and have everything happen off camera. This is rated, I don't know, at least PG-14
Yeah.
horror
Well,
flick
in
film.
America, it's PG-13, but yeah.
Actually, I think it might have been. I think it might. No, sorry, it's PG-13 here too, but we have 14A, which means you have to be 14 or
Oh.
accompanied by an adult.
Interesting. I mean, I knew that
Yeah.
there was a little difference, but yeah.
Because PG-13 you can
Yeah.
attend without a parent, but
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and again, like we don't see anything actually happen, which I was like fine with because you know how I feel about losing limbs.
Yeah.
But there's not even like a blood spurt, and he only cuts him a little bit, but he saws back and forth for a couple
Yeah.
seconds, and then he stops, and
And
then
you don't
winds up not
see it,
getting his hand
though.
off. No,
yeah,
we
but
don't
the
see
point is like you
anything.
don't see it, which like if you had just that scene would have been more powerful to me had I seen some like hacking and slashing going on.
And I think it's because this was a Blumhouse movie that I expected to see some of that, and so the fact that I didn't, I was like,
Like
mm.
when you see a Blumhouse, like it's fine. Like I expect like Leigh Whannell style
Yeah.
gore, James Wan style gore. Like not all the time. They know when to use it. I've never like except for the Saw movies, I've never been like so like misused gore.
I can't.
Like
I know that he's a genius, but I cannot do them past the first one. I barely got through the first one as an adult. That's a whole other discussion. But yeah,
the first one, the thing that got me was more the dirty atmosphere than the actual cutting
Yes,
and thing. I could
the
deal with the
whole
cutting
time.
if I wasn't thinking immediately about how infected that stuff would be.
That's all I could think of. As the daughter of someone in the medical field, that's all I could think of. I was like, this is disgusting. I want out. But yeah, Fantasy Island, meh, we're giving it like a middle, like not thumbs up or down, but like thumbs in the middle. Definitely a popcorn flick. Definitely like, again, acted very well, edited very well, lit very well, beautiful gowns, beautiful dresses. Just
Get lit,
story-wise,
watch it.
yeah, story-wise was a meh. But that I think wraps up this episode for us, you guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Try to tell a friend to tell a friend. Yeah, you can find us on all social media as at Bloody Broads Pod. We are also at bloodybroadspod@gmail.com. I almost said at the wrong place. If you want to send us thoughts, feelings, nice words only. And if you didn't like this episode, you can put it in a 5-star review and tell us why. I hope you guys have a great week. And until next time, bye.
Bye.